Everybody, it's David coming to you still from Fredericksburg, Texas, and the Magnolia House B&B. I am in the process of grading lesson 3 and have finished the discussion boards in the middle of grading the papers. So I wanted to give you some of my thoughts and some tips going forward on the grading for this week for lesson 3. One of the things that you'll notice, hopefully, because I ask you all the time to make sure you check the announcements every time you log into the course, I added a video this week that talks about using outlines in your writing to help your writing flow better and to help you kind of take a step back and look at the potential flow of your paper before you start writing. It's really important, I think, to make sure that you do that and just don't start writing because it really shows. And so I would encourage you to make sure that you take a look at that video. The cool thing about that video is that I shot it a while back, but it's on this particular assignment. And so you'll see the outline that I would have used if I would have done assignment 3.1 for this class. So make sure you take a look at that. One of the things that I need to stress, and I do this about this time in this course every time that I teach it, is to tell you to don't fight the CSU online library. I noticed in the discussion boards and in the papers, there are still some of you who are doing Google searches, I'm assuming, for your sources. Now, it's not totally wrong to use a Google source occasionally, but the primary place where you get your sources should be from the CSU online library to find those peer-reviewed articles that are important. And as we get into the lesson on bias, you'll begin to understand why that is increasingly important. So I'm going to start getting a little tougher on those, and so just make sure that you don't fight it, that you use the CSU online library to find those sources. If you have any trouble finding sources, contact me, and I'll walk you through some ways to narrow and to expand your searches to make sure that you're getting plenty of choices there. So don't fight the CSU online library. I'm also going to dial up the APA focus this week. We're about halfway through the course, and so many of you are making the same mistakes each week on APA's formatting. Now, just understand there are a few things that you just need to fully grasp about APA. One is for your references, make sure that you understand how to format a journal article, because if you go to the CSU online library, you're going to find journal articles. And so if you get that down pat, then each journal article follows the same type of setup. The second thing is how to cite a website that you find. So make sure that you fully understand that one. And then the final one, I've mentioned this several times, but I'll continue to mention it because there are still people, I don't think, who are using it. As I mentioned earlier, there are 13 ebooks that are rolled up into one big ebook here in this course. And under doc sharing, I have given you the proper APA formatting for those 13 ebooks. Now, there is no excuse for you to get those wrong because I have provided them for you. So just make sure that you go to doc sharing, and under there you're going to see something that says MSOM 601 citations or something like that. And I've provided all 13 of the ebooks for you. So please don't miss those, because going forward, I will start taking off some points for those as we go forward. So if you can get a handle on those, if you can get a handle on how to format a book, how to format a journal article, and how to format a website, you're going to cover about 90% of all the APA formats that you have. Also, make sure that you cite things correctly. Citations are what happens in text. So if you said, Britt said, then the in-text citation, if you don't mention my name, will be my name and the year of the book, the year of the journal article. You do not use the page number unless it is a direct quote that you have in quotations, which, by the way, you remember, I don't like. Okay? So you don't use direct quotes unless the author says it in such a fantastic way that there's no possible way You can paraphrase it. Remember, I'm interested in your words and your thoughts, not the copy and pasted thoughts of someone else. So just make sure that you begin to get a full understanding of those things. Let's move on a bit to the application this week. Um, and I really like to focus a lot on format and flow. And again, it's not because I'm an academic, but it's because I've read hundreds, probably thousands, of business proposals over the years. And format and flow is really important on business proposals because, again, I've said this before, if I couldn't figure out very quickly what you were trying to get me to do as the boss, as the approver of a particular item or the keeper of money that would be distributed to your project, if I couldn't figure out very quickly what you wanted me to do, I'd throw your proposal in the trash. I just didn't have time. And so format and flow, very, very important. And so if you look at the application for this week, go back to, as I mentioned at the start, that outline for your paper, because that's where good format and flow starts. It always starts with an outline. And so in this one in particular, that dealt with the 5 problems that I'm going to face. Remember, whenever I ask an assignment or your boss asks you to do something, there's really many times just one overriding thing that they want you to do. In this case, the overriding issue here is that a big problem may have many small problems. Now, I ask you to do 4 or 5 things in there, but if you read the assignment, what I would encourage you to do, again, before you start writing, before you start doing your outline, is step back and go, what is it that he's really getting at in this? What is it that he's really looking for in this particular assignment? And so in this assignment, if I had to develop a theory for this assignment, the theory is big problems may have many small problems attached to them. Now, that's the main theory, if you will. Now, the secondary things I wanted you to do is to say problem-solving tools may help you provide a solution. And so the problem-solving tools of the RED model, the problem-solving tools of the is-not model that you worked on this week may be a good way for you to address that problem. And so those are why you need to come in right after that, identify RED, define it. Remember, you have to define things before you apply them. Define is-not model. Define those before you apply them as well. And so you got a big problem. The big problem may have smaller problems. Well, how do you handle that? Well, you've got problem-solving models. The problem-solving models could be the RED model. It could be the is-not model. And then what you do is you apply those tools. So you apply the RED model. You apply, perhaps, if you wanted to, the is-not model. You didn't have to do both of them. To some of the problems, or the 5 problems that I ask you to find in this story. And then you draw a conclusion from it. And so the conclusion really is the recap of your main point in your introduction. Again, your introduction is big problem, may have many small problems. Problem-solving tools are available if you use them. I've used them and applied them to this particular situation in Amina's story, and the conclusion is, by gosh, they work, right? Okay, so that was a pretty simple approach. But again, before you start writing, think about those things because you're following a thought process. This is what critical thinking is all about. This is why critical thinking and problem solving are intertwined in this course. Because in order to solve problems, you have to think critically. You have to think strategically. You have to think in process as you go through those. Hopefully that makes some sense to you. And you can begin to apply those in your discussion boards and in the papers in the future. All right? Hope you have a great week. If you have any questions about this or you want further explanation, just contact me. I'm always here to chat. Take care. Talk to you soon.